So that's what you have your ruler for. And it's going to be solid. I want you to go all the way out to the perimeter of the graph right there. Okay. So now I do my shading. So this is less than. Remember, less than is down. It's below. So if you kind of take your pencil, you got to kind of picture I'm going down this way, which is below, and up. So don't look at it as left and right, because if you look at it as left, you're going to think less than, and it's not always the case for that. So I'm going to shade below because it's less than this line. So all of the y values in this blue shaded area have a y value less than or equal to that line. Okay? So now I pick up my green, and I do the same thing with it. I do +2. I go down 1, right 2. If I went up and left, I would land right here. So if these were equal signs, that would be my answer, right? So then I put a dotted line, dash line, whatever you want to call it. Okay? And then I have created 4 sections, but let's do our shading for this. Where on this graph are the y values less than that line? Above or below? Below. So we're going to shade this. And as you can see while you were shading it, some of it is overlapped, some of it is by itself. Do you see the 4 sections I was telling you about? One's kind of really small. So you got this section up here, which is the all blue. You don't need to label these. This section, and this section. So now what are you going to do with your red? You're going to take and either outline it or color it all in where it matches both inequalities. Be careful because you got that little green line right there too. So it looks like a little trapezoid. Or not even a trapezoid there. Okay? So this is a good enough answer to show where the system is. Looks kind of messy, but I want to talk a little bit more about what we were trying to talk about earlier. Okay? Does everybody have that section overlap? So if it's an all blue section, any points in here will just make that one true. If it's an all green section, any point that I pick in here will make this the green one satisfy that inequality. If it's not in any shading, I can take a point in here, plug it into both, neither one will be true, right? I'm not concerned about any of these 3. The only thing I want to know is what region can I pick any point from, plug it into both the x and the y for these, and get them both be true. And it would be as long as it's in that red region. And obviously there's arrows, so they would have to keep going, right? Okay? So what we're doing looking here is if it's in, let's do this, section, let's label this off. Section 1, only the blue section is true, right? Meaning if I plug them in, I'll get a true statement. Section 2, neither would be true. They would both give me a false statement. Section 3, if I picked a point and plugged the x in for the x and the y in for the y, it would be true for the green statement, but not for the blue one, right? Only green would be true. And then section 4, that's where they're both going to give me a true statement. That is what I want. That is my solution. And so that is where your solution will come from. Why am I telling you all this? Because why can't I just graph it and tell you? Because guess what? There will be a day tomorrow when I don't give you a graph. I'm going to give you 2 inequalities, and I'm going to give you an ordered pair. And I'm going to say, hey, is the ordered pair -8, -4 part? It can't be the only solution, right? But can it be part of the solution? So what you would have to do is take the x in for the x, the y in for the y, and see if you get a true statement. If it's true for one but not both, is it in the solution? No. Okay, good. Moving on. Let's do this next one. Blue, green. So go to +3, up 2/3 with a solid line. I want all the area that's above this line, which is greater than. So I'm going to shade this little area here. Then I want to do my green, -3. Don't have enough room to go down and right, so go up and left. Dotted line for this one. Gotta do my shading now. This symbol is a greater than symbol. Where is greater than this line? Above it, correct? So we're gonna shade right here. I mean, ideally it would turn colors, right? Like yellow and blue, make green, all that good stuff. But right now I just kind of have to look at it. Do you see your 4 sections? So then you are gonna take your red and kind of outline. An outline is good enough too. That's a decent enough answer. You don't have to fill it all the way in, but that's good enough. Okay? So that is your answer. So separate from like when we graphed inequalities or equations, you can't give me an answer, can you? I might, you know what? I might say, give me 1 point. Okay? Then as long as the point is in this section, then you're good. Okay? Catching up. All right, let's move to number 7. Okay, because of course, what happens when you get to number 7? It's not in slope-intercept form. Big deal. You know what to do by now. Subtract 4x from both sides. That's going to give you y is less than -4x plus 2. That's what I'll graph in blue. -4 means I can go down 4 and over 1. Kind of a steep line. Dotted, because it cannot include the boundary line. Your solution cannot be on that boundary line. It has to be less than the boundary line. Okay, pretty steep. Less than means below. Okay. You are not going to be able to escape vertical and horizontal lines, so you just have to kind of get them in your head there. So I'm going to go to the y-axis at -2, and it's a horizontal line because it's the only line that gives you every single y value is -2. This is also dotted. Now there's an obvious above and below in this one, right? I want it greater than, so I'm going to shade above, and then you have to be able to kind of tell where your overlap is. Okay? Okay, I'm going to have you change a problem on number 8 real quick because I need you to get practice with something that wasn't originally on the sheet. I want you to rewrite this problem or change that plus to a minus. Basically just have it -2y. So change that plus to a minus. You'll see why. So neither one of them are solved for y. So go ahead and do that. I'll do that up here while you go ahead and do that. You should be able to know what to do here. Okay, so what do you have to be very careful of on this second equation, which is why I changed it? Did I divide by a negative? Yes. So I need to take this and do what with it? Flip it. And what is the slope? Yeah. That's fine.
What did you just change?
I just changed that plus to a minus. That's all I changed. So this is now a positive 1/2. Okay. So you had to do a little bit of work before you could get your equations ready to go, right? So that's all I really wanted you to be able to do. You should be able to go ahead and... Now, I will say this. I'm going to give you an option. Because for me, and there are people out there who just like things nice and neat, right? And all this extra scribble, drives me insane. So I'm going to show you how to make it look nice and neat. So this is another option. So let's go ahead and graph this first one. -1, down 3, over 2, solid line. Okay, except I'm going to just plot the line and not shade it. If you want to be nice and neat, don't shade it yet. Just give this a shot. Pick up the green. Start at -1 also. So if this was a system of equations, they would meet at the y-intercept. And then go up 1 over 2. This is also a solid. Draw the line, but don't shade it. Okay? So, I have my 4 sections. If you are looking to be nice and neat, because really, flip the paper over really quickly, or you can just look at mine. Do you see all that extra nonsense? Do you see a bunch of scribble that's not necessary? So there's areas on every problem that wasn't really necessary. I don't need to see that green or that blue. I don't need to see that green or that blue. The only thing I want to know is this. So if I were to try this problem and just shade the overlap with my red, watch how I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to my blue line and circle that and circle this. So on my blue line, and it helps that it's blue, right? Because otherwise you forget which one it is. You're like, oh gosh, which line is it greater than? Well, it's blue. Greater than or equal to. So which area is greater than or equal to the blue line? This. So automatically I know it's not one of these 2 sections, right? So I know it's not one of those. It's either going to be this one or this one. I have to look at the green to figure out which one, right? So now I'm looking at the green, and here's the most important thing. Don't look up here. Look in the answer, because you flipped it, right? So where is greater than or equal to the green line? Above it, right? So if you remembered that it was one of these 2 sections, above the green line means you're only going to shade that area. And for some people, that looks so much nicer and it just fits. For me, that drives me nuts. If you can do it that way, you go right ahead. If you need to go ahead and do all that overlap, an extra that's on the side and you don't need it, that's fine too. Okay? Are you good on this side? All right, because I'm just going to kind of do a really quick one over here. We'll just do 1 and 4 together. Okay? Actually, let's do 2. So, when you go reverse, you don't see any colors. So you have the option of making them colored or just trying to deal with it. So, let's just look at this. If I were to, and I think it might be helpful just to kind of, if you have it. I have had, people will use these markers on the test. If you want to use this on the test, you can. So, let's take a look at this line right here. The y-intercept is what? Looks like it's 2. And it looks like it doesn't meet again until down here. So from 2, I'm going to go down 5, right 1, which is a slope of -5. So I have my -5x plus 2. Good. I need you to be with me on that part. Then I'm going to put my y, and now I'm going to figure out my sign. So what two inequalities created a shared section like this? That's what they're asking you. The inequality for the blue line is going down, so it's less than, and it's dotted, so I don't need that underneath. Then my y-intercept for the green is -2 with a slope of what? Down 1, right 1. Do you see that slope is down 1, right 1? So that's -x. And then according to this green line, I'm shading it above, which is that. Got it? Okay. Let's do 4, and then we're going to be done. So, let's try it without the colors. See if you can do it without the colors. Because you may not have 3 different color pencils on you every time you do this. So let's just do this one. This vertical one. It's vertical. What's the only time you're ever going to have vertical? X. And it's at -3. I always save the sign for last. So now let's compare to this. It's going to the left. There is no above or below in this one. It is to the left. But luckily left means less, right? And because it's solid. So I just got 1. That wasn't so bad. I didn't have a color to code it. Now let's do this one. +2. My slope, I'm looking for a good point. Looks like it just missed it here. But that looks like a good one, right? So now I'm going to read this up 5/3. So I started from left. Up and over is right. It's positive. And now I just need to find that line. And the shading is what compared to the dotted line? Above it or below it? Below, which means less than. Below is less than. And it's dotted, so it does not have the line underneath. All right, how's that?